By the time we do the introductions and everything, you know, say prayer and all that stuff.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this second public hearing on our 2016 General Fund budget. I'm Commission President Greg Hartman. To my far right is Clerk to the Board Jacqueline Paniotto. To my immediate right, County Commissioner Todd Portune. To my immediate left, Vice President of the Board, Commissioner Chris Monzel. And to Commissioner Monzel's left is County Administrator Christian Sigmund. We begin every meeting with a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. Thank you all for attending. We've got presentations by 3 recipients of general fund dollars tonight, which we will get to in just a moment. Let's hear, and let me also, before we begin with speakers' cards, if people are unable to attend these meetings and watching, please feel free to submit an email if you want to offer comments about the 2016 general fund budget. And I've got a number of those comments that we've received at the county, and I'll now move those into the public record.
Second.
Yes.
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 First speaker is Christy Tanner from Jobs Ohio. Christy, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. With Jobs Ohio, and our organization is the state's private not-for-profit entity created to attract new capital investments and job creation in the state. And we do that through our business attraction, retention, and expansion efforts. Last year in 2014, we worked with 286 different companies that committed to create over 21,000 jobs in the state and invest over $6 billion in their capital facilities. There are 2 key things that we need in order to continue to be successful when we attract new capital investment and job creation, and that's talent and inventory. And by inventory, I mean sites and buildings across the state of Ohio, and that's what I'd like to talk with you a little bit about tonight, it directly related to the proposed $2 million in investment in sites here in Hamilton County. So with the growth in the economy since the recession, Ohio has experienced a pretty severe shortage of inventory in both our sites and our buildings. Just this year to date, we've received over 125 different requests for sites and buildings. 50 of those, this region ended up being eligible for those requests coming in. So that's 40% of the state's total overall. Unfortunately, across the state, for many of those, we had to decline because we did not have a suitable site or building. What that means for us, as a state as a whole, it took us out of the running for many of those projects, which is certainly something that goes counter to our effort to try to attract that capital and new job creation. The average site search in Ohio this year has been about 96 acres. The largest request we've had to date was 500 acres, and the average building size is 172,000 square feet, all the way up to about 750,000 square feet in certain requests. As a special note, because I know some of the things you're thinking about is along I-75, a vast majority of the requests that are seeking a site or a building in the state of Ohio are asking to be situated very near an interstate, and many of those oftentimes are near Interstate 75. It is especially attractive because of its link to southern states for automotive companies, automotive suppliers that need to have access both to the north and also to the south, and among other manufacturers as well. So without a site or a building, it's hard for us to do our job and attract new capital investment and jobs to the state. So this is a key focus for our state organization. We've got 3 key initiatives where we're investing and where we're focusing on to help resolve this problem. First, we're investing in redevelopment of sites and buildings with our Jobs Ohio Revitalization Fund. This includes loans, grants, and other funding for Phase 2 environmental assessment work across the state. Thus far this year, we've invested not this year, but between this year and last year both, we've invested $78 million, committed $78 million to projects that are looking to redevelop their property and get job creation projects in there. and to turn those properties around and put them into new use. We're looking to continue that program. We're looking for good projects to partner with both developers and communities across the state so that we can take those properties and turn them into, instead of being blighted areas, turn them into areas that are productive, job-creating properties. We're also creating a site certification program called Site Ohio. That program in particular will help give our former industrial sites across the state a leg up in terms of their ability to be certified as a job-ready site or a shovel-ready site, if you will, so that will indicate to companies and to developers that there's a site that's ready. And it's oftentimes easier for brownfield sites to be certified because they have the advantage where they have the infrastructure in place under the ground and with the highway system and also nearby talent. And then third, we're working on improving our overall site selection process to be able to provide faster, better information to companies and consultants so that they're aware of the sites and the buildings that we have across the state. So I would like to encourage you to strongly consider the investment in any way you can in redevelopment of brownfield sites or underutilized properties throughout the Hamilton County area. Our program will continue. Our effort and our goal is to focus on those sites where we can invest and take a former piece of property off the blighted list and put it onto the productive list and market those properties to companies and developers across the state and across the country to try to get new capital investment and job-creating projects into those sites. So we applaud your efforts to consider this very important type of initiative, and be happy to help you in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christy. Jobs Ohio has been a real game changer in the area of economic development, and this board has been strongly supportive of your efforts through READY, and as part of the proposal, well, is increased funding in our general fund to increase our support for the activities of READY, and the numbers have been, I would say, fantastic. So good progress is being made. Thank you for being here. Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Fortune?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I've got one other speaker's card, Susan Schiller.
Actually, Mr. President, as Ms. Schiller's coming up, just I would add that what's key to site development is also access to site development. So it's not just getting our brownfields ready for investment, but it's also making sure that there's access to them, and that means investment in our transportation infrastructure, both roadways as well as rail. And rail is critically important in the movement of freight and goods throughout Ohio, and we're uniquely positioned in Hamilton County to be the center of the movement of freight through North America, and partnering with ports along the Gulf and Atlantic seaboard, as well as working with our partners on the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway in the movement of freight. So it's not just site development that's critically important, but it's also transportation infrastructure improvement and access. And it's the two of those together that's going to result in a real game changer for us in Hamilton County.
Thank you, Commissioner Fortune. Susan Schiller, welcome.
Hi. Nice to be here. I'm the Executive Director of Bethany House Services. We are one of 4 emergency shelters here in Hamilton County. We serve 5 out of every 10 homeless families in Cincinnati. And I'm here tonight to share with you our newly released family homelessness plan.
Thank you.
There were over 60 organizations that came together and worked on this the last 11 months. Christian Sigmund was one of those people who participated as in the community advisory meetings when we presented all the work of these various organizations. I'm here this evening to ask for your support. The detail behind that basically is there are 4 different areas: prevention, capacity building, housing, and policy change. And the capacity building area is one where I want to ask for some assistance. Basically, There is a $1 million request, and that would be, 1/3 of that is for case management services for the 4 emergency shelters. Another is for child care coordinators at the 4 emergency shelters. And then the third is early childhood services. Basically, Bethany House, the YWCA Domestic Violence Shelter, Salvation Army, and Interfaith Hospitality Network are the 4 agencies that take care of all the homeless families in the community. There is an increase, while overall homelessness is going down within the county, there is an increase in family homelessness. And all the details are there. There's a lot of data behind. They spent about 9 to 10 months doing research before they brought the second group together to work on the plan. So we've had some of the best and brightest minds in the community putting this together, and we want to ask for your support. I'd also like to invite each one of you out to Bethany's house. You can see our 4 shelters. We've got one in Fairmount, the original one that's been there about 30 years. We've got another one in Over the Rhine, Mount Auburn, and Walnut Hills. And we really need a lot of help personally in Bethany House. We ended up growing. We had 30 beds up until January. We were sort of like the mom and pop of emergency shelters up until January 1st, and then we took over Mercy Health St. John. They closed their social services center down in Over the Rhine, and we took over their 100 beds. So we've more than tripled our capacity. So I would like to invite you out to see where our homeless families in the community actually spend their days, and all the services that we're providing to them to break the cycle of homelessness, but to also to make sure that they have housing stability and they become self-sufficient. So, any questions?
Thank you, Susan, very much. I'll take you up on that invitation. I'd
Right.
love to come out and have a visit. Any questions, Commissioner Mazel? Commissioner Fortune?
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let's get on now to feedbacks on the administrator's proposed budget. And first up is the Clerk of Court's office. I'd like to introduce our Clerk of Courts in Hamilton County, Tracy Winkler. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing us to be here. I have with me this evening Mark Waters, our Administrator, our Chief of Operations, Tony Rosiello, and our Chief of Finance, Mary Cousins. And first of all, I would just like to thank the Commissioners for working with me. I feel like we've worked pretty well together over the last few years. This is my 4th year in office, and just has been, I know, a struggle over a lot of that time because you've had quite a bit of constraints because you have not had the revenue coming into the general fund. And we've understood that and feel like we have worked well with the commissioners and John Brugan and his team also. So thank you for that. We feel like we've adhered pretty closely to the budget that you've given us, and over the last several years, we have had an agreement to take funds from the Restricted Auto Titles Fund and to supplement the general fund budget. And we are planning on doing that again, as I have talked to Mr. Brugan. Now, I do have a warning with that, although we currently have the funds to be able to do that, and we've been able to do it over the last several lean years for the county. I just want you to be aware that those funds are there right now, but there are changes that are coming. We don't know what they might be and what it might look like for that auto title fund. So we want you to be aware and to not project so many years out thinking that the same amount of money can come from the auto title fund. I would be wary of projecting out at the rate that we have been giving to the general fund. So you understand what I'm saying. Here's the deal. Technology is changing. And so what does that look like, if the state should allow people to purchase titles online? How much money is going to be coming back to us? I just don't want you to fall into a place where you're counting on those funds and they're not there for you, okay? So we really appreciate we've had some good workings with Christian Sigmund We've had issues and have had some last minute, I will call them appropriations for this year. A couple of the things that we had concerns about, we had microfilm that was basically dissolving, and so we had to quickly buy some machines that we could transfer that onto the Meckel machine. So I appreciate you doing that. With the shooting that happened at UC, we recognize, I don't know how many people, now you all know this, but I don't know how many of the general public know that we have a small police department at the Clerk of Courts. And when the police shooting happened on the campus, or just off the campus of the University of Cincinnati, we realized we also were, our officers were carrying only a service revolver. So we felt that it was best to go ahead and train them and purchase tasers. I talked to Christian, you agreed to that, and so now we have the tasers, and we appreciate that appropriation. And our officers are being trained, or actually they're all done being trained and certified in using the tasers. So we have them in hand, and we have them actually in the hands of our officers. So we thank you for that. We also thank you for the appropriation. I don't know whether it'll happen by the end of this year, though we would like for it to. We really needed a new server, and what that is going to do is allow us to move our old server off-site. That will be an additional place that we will have records stored, and it will allow us to get rid of some of our paper. And you know how much we would really like to do that because we are running out of space to store things. So those are all very good things. My goal has been to increase revenue and reduce spending. So that's what I've been really focusing on since I've been here and got here in 2011. And we've done very well in the past several years. Really worked on reducing costs, even changing banks so that we could save about $50,000 a year. We were looking for any little thing that we could that would help with cost. One of the things that we were concerned about this year is losing revenue from, we have a contract with the city where we took in the parking fines, and we were concerned with losing that because of the parking deal that went through with Xerox. Fortunately, we were able to show our value. The Clerk of Court still had value, and we're able to retain that $350,000 contract with the city. We also opened a new title office in Sims Township to serve the people in the northern part of our county, and that office, although not raking in the bucks yet, we're breaking even, which is really good. The office has only been open for 6 months, and we anticipate that will be bring in some new revenue stream as some of our revenue has seeped out into other counties. One of the things, and I want to just say props to Mary Cousins, who again is our Chief of Finance. One of the things that we did to save some extra money right now is to go to a state contract for our equipment, and I would recommend that you pass this information along to all of the county officials who are making decisions like this. When I first got to the Clerk of Court's office, we had an Anacomp machine. Am I saying that right, Tony? Yeah, we had an Anacomp machine. It was costing us about $50,000 a year for a maintenance agreement. Maintenance agreement for $50,000 a year. What this is, what we're going to do, we have now, Mary researched it, and we've come into an agreement and are going to be working with the state. They have a state contract to lease equipment. So on things like our copiers, which we use those things, and as Commissioner Hartman can attest to, being the previous Clerk of Courts, those machines have to be replaced quite often. The technology changes, things have to be replaced pretty quickly. So what we are going to be doing now is leasing equipment, which is about the same cost as it was for a maintenance agreement on the equipment. So it's a really smart thing to do. It's smart business, and I would really recommend it for all of the county agencies, if they're not already doing it, to work with the state under their state contract to lease equipment. So, and let me see. Yep. Okay. Just in closing, I just want you to know that I'm going to continue to watch the budget closely and look for opportunities to continue to save money for the county. Just want you to be aware that happy to be working with you and giving the money to the general fund from the auto title fund as we've had the lean years. But again, a warning from me not to expect that for many, many years down the road. So.
Thank you very much, and thank you again to the whole clerk's office for your partnership during what have been lean years, and you guys have always been partners in helping us make tough budgets. Any questions, Commissioner Mozell?
No questions.
Commissioner Fortune?
Well, two things. One, I do want to comment favorably on the collaboration that we've received.
Thank you.
Clerk Winkler, and I think that you run a big department, and there are a lot of moving pieces, and it's challenged to keep tabs on budgets and things, but just today we considered, or had presented to us, we didn't act on it yet, supplemental appropriations for dozens of items, year-end accounting and adjustments, and some operations of the county require some significant boosts to their budget amounts, but my experience has been that you have done a very good job in keeping tabs on that and working to generate revenues for the county. I did have a question. A year ago, we talked about the private auto transfers
Right.
and the like, and so I just wanted to ask you what, if anything, has happened over the past year on that. I know.
Well, I've talked to John Brugan and his team about that, and I know that they're working on it and happy to go. Told him that I was happy to go with him and approach the Clerk of Courts Association and get our team together and behind kind of rallying the legislators.
Yeah.
To just think about some legislation so we can get true tax for those.
I know it's a challenge. I mean, we've been talking about this since Commissioner Hartman was a clerk of courts, I think.
Yes.
And the politics of it are challenging. I do understand that, but it's an issue that comes up every year. So if there's any progress that could be made there, we priced it out at one point of perhaps as much as $3 million or more to the good to the county if you're able to do that.
Right, and just in case anybody from the public is listening, what that is if you come and you have a car that's worth $5,000 and you got your buddy to say it was worth $500, you're going to be paying a lot less tax, which means that we lose that revenue, and we don't want to have to call you a liar. Just let's get that settled so that you give us the true valuation of the
Right,
car.
right.
So,
Yeah, thank you
okay.
for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here. Next up is a budget impact statement by HCDC, one of our economic development partners. We contract out our economic development activities in Hamilton County, and HCDC is an important part of that. In addition to Reddy and the Port Authority, Harry is here. Harry Blanton from HCDC. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you mentioned, I'm Harry Blanton from HCDC, also known as Hamilton County Development Company. We were started over 30 years ago by the County Commissioners to promote economic development in Hamilton County. We're a private nonprofit focused on business development, and we have 3 program areas. The first is lending, which is traditionally and perennially ranked as the number 1 or number 2 CDC in Ohio, so we do the most volume in loans in Ohio. We also have the Entrepreneurial Development Department, which, as a lot of people are familiar with, our business incubator, and that incubator was evaluated by a third-party consultant by the state of Ohio, and recently was ranked as the number 1 incubator in Ohio. So we have some pretty significant programs that are doing good jobs of growing businesses and creating jobs. Finally is my department, the Economic Development Office, which is funded by the general fund. And we are, excuse me, we over the past 3 years have assisted companies who have created or retained over 6,000 jobs and invested over $346 million. So that's a portion of the larger number that Chrissy gave you earlier. That's the Hamilton County portion. In our lending department, we financed over 46 businesses that invested over $77 million in their facilities. And there's one program I kind of want to highlight, and then I'm going to talk about some proposals that are in the budget as well. And that program is called the Small Business Assistance Program. Over the past 5 years, that's been funded through the Uptown Consortium and the Duke Energy Urban Revitalization Fund. So what that program does is we go into small business districts and we try to work with the business associations and then the individual businesses to increase their ability to grow and survive in those business districts. As we all know, that's one of the challenging areas of our communities, the vacancy rates and businesses that go out of business and leave in vacant stores. As I said, our funders up to this point have been in the urban core, so all of our communities have been focused in the city of Cincinnati, around the University of Cincinnati, and communities like Price Hill, Northside, East Walnut Hills, et cetera. In the budget this year, we have two proposals. One is to expand that program out to the rest of the communities of Hamilton County, so places like Delhi Township, Delhi Pike. We know that they've gone through a redevelopment strategy to try and help that business district. So we're asking for some additional funding to expand that out to the communities of Hamilton County. Our second program is the Economic Gardening Program, and we're proposing a pilot program that will assist businesses that are what they call second stage businesses. And these businesses usually represent only about 10% of your businesses in your community, but they represent about 35% of the jobs, and they also are traditionally about 25% of new job creation as well. So by focusing on those smaller businesses, we can increase job growth and development in the county. And so there is a proposal that we'll be giving you this week that will delineate all the different costs of that program, but we're asking for your support of that. And finally, I just wanted to point out that we are still in the process of looking to expand the business incubator and have a satellite incubator. We've put out an RFP to the communities of Hamilton County. We've been having discussions with communities. And so sometime in the next year, I think we're going to be getting with you to talk about an additional incubator in another part of Hamilton County. So we appreciate all the support you've given to us in the past. We ask for your support this year, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Harry, and thanks for getting us that additional work on the second stage businesses that are in need of some help. I would point out, too, that Harry does a good job at being a quarterback between Ready and the Port Authority. I mean, so you know, those funding decisions by this board were made because there was going to be more coordination. I mean, I think 5 or 6 years ago, there were too many different people doing too many different things across the county, and you've done a fine job at being our point person to make sure that we're coordinating all those efforts with Ready and the Port, because if you combine those dollars, they're significant, and that shows, I think, the commitment we've got to helping grow the local economy. But as you know, dollars remain tight, and I think that our citizens expect that. But we believe in the mission that you've been able to accomplish enough to continue that funding even during the lean years. So thanks for all your work. Any questions, Commissioner Monzel?
No questions. Thanks, Harry, for being here.
Commissioner Fortune?
No questions of Mr. Blanton, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Harry. And finally, tonight, we have a presentation by Cheryl Keller from our Human Resources Department.
No, I didn't want you to get a cookie. You're looking that way. Good evening. Thanks very much for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm here to talk a little bit about the human resource budget. And I have to remember how to do this. Okay, nothing, it's not clicking. I told you. Okay. There you go, thank you. Our department has 29 positions, and that represents 27.4 FTEs, and we're divided up into divisions that perform different services: administration, compensation and benefits, employee and labor relations, human resources development. We have juvenile court and risk management. People from my office work with your offices a lot, so you're familiar with a lot of the work that we do. Some of the work we do is for the entire county, such as benefits, risk management, workers' compensation. We perform those for countywide. Some of the services we provide are specific to specific departments, like staffing. We do that for juvenile court, job and family services, the board, and sometimes assist departments in posting positions. So we have a variety of tasks that we do and a variety of people that we serve. In 2015, priorities and initiatives, we worked on issues related to the 2015-2016 policy agenda in the section called Investing in Our County Workforce. There was a desire to expand our employer wellness program, which is Empower a Healthy You. The wellness program was implemented in 2014, and 2015 brought increased engagement, and employees began to receive monetary incentives for participating in and achieving specific goals. About 35% of our employees participated in health screening, and 40% of our employees received incentive payments for participation. We had 53 classes that we offered on 36 different topics. Using vendor relationships and community partners, we did that at no cost to the county. We had 3 workplace challenges, and we had about 938 participants who participated and completed the challenge. We also did a survey of employees and found that 95% of those who completed the survey indicated they said they felt valued by Hamilton County's commitment to the wellness program. The second thing that we worked on, well, there we go. The second thing that we worked on related to priorities and initiatives was development of a plan for compensation to move employees to somewhere between the 25th and 75th percentile of the relevant labor market. That plan has been included in the commissioner's or in the administrator's recommended budget. Additionally, we worked this year on making security in the county administration building match the security for other buildings downtown. That was implemented on September 21st and was the result of a committee of individuals who represented different offices within our building who made recommendations that were implemented. For 2016, Human Resources has received a budget. It's about $1.9 million, very similar to the budget that we had the previous year. That is a budget that we can work with and live within, I believe. As the year goes on, we may have to adjust some of the training programs that we offer, things like that, to hit within the budget, but it should be doable. Should the administration approve the administrator's recommended budget, we'll have things that we need to work on related to that. One of those would be implementation of a 3% merit increase, expansion of the wellness program, implement the market compensation plan. We're also going to be negotiating successor labor agreements, which is something that we have to work on all the time. And we're going to be completing a RFP process for all of our benefit programs for next year. And in addition, we're going to also we've been working to implement an attendance on demand. It's a time clock kind of system. We implemented it at Job and Family Services. We're working with a county engineer to implement next, and then with DDS, and we'll be rolling that out to other departments that are interested within the county. And last but not least, risks. What are the risks that we have? I think that the risk that we have is regarding our employees, and there are basically 2 things. We have a risk of losing employees. The job market has picked up, which means there are more jobs available. As more jobs become available, there's more jobs for our people to seek. That presents another problem. As we try to recruit people, we're competing with a lot more employers who want to hire people. So that puts us in a difficult position. Without a competitive compensation package, retention and recruitment are difficult. An example from my department, we have 29 positions, and this year I've had 5 people resign. Of those, 4 people have gone to accept positions in other public entities locally. 1 went to private industry. So that's a 17% turnover rate for my department. And I know that that's something that other board and non-board departments are experiencing. So, bottom line, I can live with my budget. I can make it work. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. I mean, we would not have been able to weather the storm that we've been through as a county without the county employees, and I think that I speak for all three of us when I say I expect our 2016 budget to reflect an investment in our employees. It's been, I think, a long time coming, so I look forward to passing that when this budget passes. Commissioner Waddell?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Fortune?
I agree with that. I think it's both wages and benefits. It's adjusting our ranges so that they are competitive with other communities, counties around us. I would just simply add that along with the discussion of the pay scales and the wages and everything, I think we also have to plan long-term for what is the actual right size within our overall county workforce. We, with the help of other department heads and independently elected officials like Clerk Winkler and others in cutting staff during the very difficult time period of the recession, where our workforce was reduced down from over 6,000 employees to around 4,700, 4,600. We went from what some people could have said was right-sizing to not only cutting into the fat, but cutting into the bone of county operations. And we got to the point where I think a lot of county operations are still understaffed. And so not that we would ever get back to the levels that we once were, but there is a number, department by department, that is the appropriate number. And I would urge that through your efforts, Cheryl, in cooperation with our department heads and independently elected officials, to identify what the right size number is, department by department, and we've got a plan on getting to those levels as well, along with the other challenges we have relative to compensation and benefits as the economy improves and our revenue picture improves and the like. But we've got to plan strategically to get back to what is the right level, department by department. Because today we're not there. I mean, I think we're still very understaffed in a lot of places, and people are working incredibly hard, doing more than what one job ought to be in order to help us make ends meet, and that contributes to that attrition and low morale, people leaving, and the like as well. So I would just ask that as we can't really incorporate that into the budget this year, but it's a policy issue that we've got to work on as a county as we move forward and as we climb out of the recession. To keep that in mind, we've got to plan on what is the right size of our overall county family, department by department as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. And again, thank you to Delhi Township for hosting. That concludes our public hearing. I'll move you adjourn.
Second.
Yes.